everybody. Today it's sword day. We're going to start talking about the basics of sword balancing. So let's start with ensuring that you understand where the balance point is on your blade, as well as what part is the blade. This part is the hilt. Okay, really for sword work, for what we're doing right now, that's all you need to concern yourself with. I'll talk about grabbing the hilt, being able to hold it firmly with your wrist. What we want to see is a nice firm grip with the ability to take the point of the sword down and up. So when you begin your sword conditioning, we're looking for some movements like this that are slow, steady, and very intentful, very controlled. We don't want to just drop the sword down, because then you're not going to be able to follow the timing of your fellow dancers. We need to be able to control it. We also need to be able to hold it steady and just work from the shoulder joint. Okay, working here up and down. So we can work this in front of the body. Yay, it's the phone. Hold on. We don't know who they are. We're just going to let it ring. Yay, we're back. Okay. So we've had it in front. We can also have the sword out to the side. This works a slightly different set of muscles in the shoulder and the upper arm, okay? So we also want to be able to, like I said, we're going to take two fingers, and let's start with fingers upwards, because your flexor muscles within your hands are stronger than the extensor muscles. Eventually, we'd love to build up to holding that sword on the back side of the fingers, but for now, we're going to flip them over, and you're going to locate your balance point. Okay, once you find it, you're going to see if you can move the sword around a little bit. Can you walk with it and still hold it at the balance point? Can you raise it up? Can you drop it down? Okay, trying to work the steadiness of that without squeezing the blade or holding the blade behind here like this. Okay, try not to cheat when you're conditioning. Whatever happens on stage happens on stage. Now, once you've found that balance point, okay, we're ready to begin talking about a couple other things we can do with the sword. So half of the, excitement of the sword is that people fear that it's sharp, that we're going to drop it, and that it's really, really hard work. Now, for some people it is really hard work, for others maybe it isn't. And that's okay, right? That's okay. Wherever you are with your sword is where you're at with it, and it's just something to practice. Okay, half of the battle of the sword is leading up with some suspenseful movement. Okay, so part of that is us as the dancer and the user of this beautiful prop, making sure that we keep that illusion that the blade is nice and sharp. Okay, so we're never going to grab our swords like this. It's going to be so obvious so quick. People will be like, what are those things? Even plastic. Like, come on. So never grab it over the top. Instead, you can just gently hold it here on the base. You can also put it in the crook of your hand here and hold it. Okay, that's another look. It'll be up to you and your troop mates to decide what it is, where it's going. Maybe you use both. Okay, so one of the really lovely movements, we'll show you two today. Simply by dipping the blade one side and then the other side. Okay, we can mimic this with either our chest or our hips, depending on where it is we're positioning the sword. Okay, so for this one with it up higher, and to make sure my sword doesn't slip, I'm going to hold it with this grip here and just gently Take it down with one hip and then with the other hip. Okay, so you can work this movement being very careful to stay on the same plane with your hips as you are with your sword. Okay, so from the side, we're going to get dipping down and down. And I'm trying to keep the sword and my hips parallel with each other and trying very hard not to come up and in and all this other twisting goodness. That just creates a different illusion. We want this to be very slow, very purposeful. Very look at how we can mimic the hips with the sword. Okay, now we also have a chest. We can bring this up higher if we want to. And take a chest in. We can dive it down a little bit deeper. Okay, so a few things there. Another lovely part that looks very nice is the illusion that when the sword is coming down, that the chest is lifting up. So we'll want to utilize an upper back bend while keeping the shoulder blades wide. Okay, let's look at that from the back. So I'm trying to keep my shoulders wide as opposed to going like this. You see the difference? That's scrunching the shoulder blades in. And that's keeping them wide. Okay, from this side. So you'll really want to work that motion there. Get it to the chest. And now we're going to do a little body wave. Sword comes all the way down. Flip the blade. And as if it's about to shave the body all the way up. You can add 1 to 2 body waves in there, up to you. As long as that chest comes up, back, flip. Okay, so play with those. And then play with keeping your hips going. Find the center of gravity with your body. Slowly lower the blade. Find the balance spot. Okay, and then see if you can let go and keep the hips going. Always watch how far your hands come up. We don't want to distract from the fact that we're balancing the sword. The more floppy my hands get, the more it's going to mess up my balance, throw my body off. So let's just bring them back and down. There. And you can make this super dramatic, bringing the hands down and up, flip the fingers back. And let's do a little tuck with the pelvis. Lift it up and down. Okay. On our next little sword clip, we will look at probably giant candle arm with the sword blade and working that with turns. Okay, well, thanks for joining me. If you don't have a sword and you still want to practice, you can always do things like, broomsticks aren't necessarily the best, but for balancing alone, take a book and you can place a book on top of the head. Okay? And then for the things like going side to side here, do try to find something that is fairly straight and rigid so that you feel the idea of holding that plane. Because if you're not holding something, your hands are going to tend to do this and you won't really notice it because you don't have that big giant straight thing. Okay, so happy practicing, and we'll see you next time.